Today we are yet again playing Minecraft whilst reading some crazy Reddit stories. We will continue exploring the colorful cave. Sit back and relax. Here is the first story. My boyfriend, 36-year-old male, won't marry me. I've been with my boyfriend for 8.5 years, and we've been living together at his apartment for 5 years. Like any long relationship, we've had our ups and downs, but in the last 2 years, everything has been great. I know he is my person, and I am his. He's a great guy, not just to me, but to friends, family, and strangers. Cares a lot about me, shows affection, communicates well, has financially supported me while I finish my degree, and we have a great time together, both on a daily life basis and on special events like travels and all. We pretty much are already living a married life without kids, but that alone doesn't fulfill my dream of marriage. I want a celebration of our love. I want to share this moment with our friends and family. I want to be a bride and plan this major life event with him. And I have voiced this to him a few times. A few years back, he was unsure of our future together, but we worked on our relationship and are in a great place. So now when I talk about planning a wedding and marriage, he seems to be on board with it. At least he entertains my thoughts. But so far I haven't seen a ring. I've kind of given him 2 ultimatums. I won't invest any money in buying a bigger place together if we're not married. We've been cramped in his bachelor pad for the last 5 years and are getting tired of it. And I won't celebrate double digits of being boyfriend and girlfriend. But even that seems like too long of a stretch now. But honestly, I don't think I have the courage to walk out of an otherwise perfect relationship. So I just keep dragging this and building resentment with every anniversary, with every time I see the surprised faces of people who ask how long we've been dating, and with every wedding of people in our circle. I just feel stuck while everyone else around us is moving on with their lives. How do I get him to finally propose, or at least admit he won't ever do it, so I can be free of these bad feelings of uncertainty? Edit for clarification and things that have come up in the comments. I'm not from the US, so maybe it's a wedding culture thing there. But where I'm from, we just love a good party. Any party. When the reason for it is to celebrate the love and union of 2 people, it really brings people together in a very unique way. It always gets me emotional, even as just a guest. That's what I love about it and dream of having as a bride. There's nothing to do with having a big fancy event to post on social media and live my Disney princess dreams. Even the ring thing, I was talking about it figuratively. It isn't a tradition for the men to get the fiancé an engagement ring. This just got popular here recently. Usually they both get their wedding bands and wear it on the right hand till the wedding. Legally, I'm sure there are differences between my country and the US, but marriage pretty much affects the same aspects of our lives. Even roommates have contracts, their names on a lease or something. I don't have any legal ties to him right now. I understand some people can live together for many years without it. But for me, this is important to feel secure about our future together. About kids. Since the beginning, I knew didn't want any, and he didn't have a strong opinion about it, and was okay with anything I decided. We still talk about having kids, to check on each other and see where we're at on this matter. I've been having second thoughts, and he is still on board if I decide I do want to. But that's not the reason I'm upset I'm not married. After 8 years together, I haven't asked him directly if he wants to get married, and why recently. So I haven't gotten a straight answer since a few years back, when it was a no, I've been just casually touching on the subject, to try to get a glimpse of where he's at. And he seems positive, acknowledging that we are in a much better place now that we worked on those issues. So after reading all the comments that I really wasn't expecting to get, I realized the next logical thing is to have a direct and honest conversation with him. I just need to figure out how to approach it. We have a big trip coming up next month, so I'll probably wait after that. Thank you all so much for your input and advice. I appreciate all perspectives. Honestly, after 8 years together and 5 years living together, she deserves a straight answer about marriage, not just hints and maybes. I think she needs to have that direct conversation before the trip, not after. Because waiting is just building up more resentment, and that's not fair to either of them. I got a message saying my husband is cheating on me. The message was from his ex-girlfriend's best friend. So, bit of background. He and I have been together 6 years. We have a pretty solid relationship, never get into arguments with each other. He's very open and will openly express how he's feeling or what he's thinking, and we are always on the same page of things. Before we got together, husband lived across the country about 4 states away. We met because of a work course, and we hit it off right away, so kept in touch for the next year via text until he decided he wanted to be with me. So he transferred his job over to the city I lived in. We've been together ever since, and things have been dandy. A year before we dated, husband dated this chick Charlene for about 2 years. Until she left him, I knew about her, but have never met her, or even given her a thought until a few months into our relationship, when husband received a text from her. Charlene texted him to say she thinks I hacked into her social media profiles. He asked her why this was, and she didn't give much of a reason other than to say she's been hacked. So I handed over my devices to husband to show him I definitely did not hack into any of her profiles. I don't even know how to do that. So he texted her saying sorry, but it wasn't me, and he didn't know who it was, and that was that. Then a few days later, husband started getting weird texts and calls from people he didn't know, saying odd, vulgar things. We didn't know why till his friend told him Charlene posted a status with his phone number saying, "This person has hacked into my profiles and is stalking me." Husband doesn't have her on social media, so he had no idea. Nothing really came of it. He managed to block the numbers, and thankfully the harassment didn't last. Flash forward to 5 years now, and we haven't heard from or about Charlene at all, and promptly forgot about it. Husband's sister just had a baby in the town. Husband originally came from where Charlene lives, and since he hasn't been there in like 6 years, we decided to go down to see his family. We go down and everything is cool. He reaches out to some of his old pals to say hey, and we meet a few of them. Over the next few days, I get random friend requests from girls. I don't know, 2 girls who are from this small town. It shows husband isn't a mutual friend with any of them, and I ask him who these girls are, and he says he doesn't really know, but one seems familiar, and he might have gone to school with one. I think it's weird, and just delete their requests. Then the next night, I get a message request on Instagram. It's from a different girl, I don't know, that also lives in this town. She straight up tells me she knows my husband from childhood and he's been messaging her on Tinder. She sends me screenshots of my husband messaging her saying he's around and wants to hook up or something. I immediately show my husband, of course, and right away he drops what he's doing and hands me his phone unlocked, tells me that isn't him, and he wants me to go through his phone so that I feel reassured. I go through everything, messages, Instagram, social media, etc. I look at his apps, there's no Tinder. I go to his search bar, still no Tinder. He opens his app store to show me it's not downloaded. He downloaded Tinder and entered his phone number into the login from where I'm from. If you go to login and type in your number, it just sends you a code to log in with, and it didn't have his number registered. We look at the messages again, and he recognizes the girl as one of Charlene's best friends from college. Now, there are a few odd things with the Tinder screenshots this chick sends me. It says husband's account is verified with a little check mark. His profile picture on Tinder is a really old one from his brother's Facebook, like 3 or 4 years old. His brother is the only one still friends with Charlene on Facebook, and it's the only lone photo of husband on brother's profile. It's a photo husband actually hates because he's not smiling and he has his tongue out. But his brother keeps it up anyways to bug him despite husband asking him before to delete it to no avail. The way husband talks in the Tinder screenshot is a bit different than how he usually texts to me in general. It's very expressive. Hey, how are you? Remember me? And he usually doesn't type like that. But here's the one thing that's just weird that makes me feel uneasy. The message exchanges on Tinder are throughout the day gradually and not back and forth right away. It just happens that whenever husband replies, it was the only 2 times we weren't together during the day. Like this. Husband at 2:30 p.m. Hey, how are you? Remember me? Girl. Yeah. Hey, what's up? Husband at 4:54. Not much, just visiting my sister. So at 2 I had ran to the grocery store and was texting husband what I should grab for his sister's house. That's why I know the time. At 4-ish we arrive at sister's, and after helping with supper, husband uses the bathroom. He's not in there long, but I send him a text with the poop emoji to be silly. That was at 4:53. So the fact that it's around the same times where I'm not around him is unnerving, though the screenshots show they talk for longer after. But I can't see the times for the rest of the convos. And frankly, I don't want to message this girl and ask for more, because it all seems sketchy. Anyways, husband has never really been on his phone in general this whole trip, so it's not like I see him sitting in the corner constantly texting. The people we met up with from his school the other day are close friends with Charlene and girl who messaged me, so they could have easily told them we were there and we were visiting his sister. It's a bit of a weird coincidence that this girl who's friends with Charlene happens to reach out to me while we are down for the first time in 6 years, specifically to visit his sister. We also just purchased a condo together 3 days before, and so it doesn't make sense at all why husband would decide to cheat on me now. Not to mention, why would he decide to hook up with Charlene's friend while I'm with him on this trip? Why would he use that super old photo from Facebook that Charlene has access to? Plus, he surrendered his phone immediately and showed me everything once I talked to him. The only thing that rattles my brain is the profile verification and the times the messages were sent. Update. Messaged this girl saying, "Oh, that's weird because husband actually didn't have his phone on him the last few days since he dropped it." Her response was, "Oh, okay, welcome." This is clearly Charlene and her friends trying to mess with their relationship out of jealousy or spite, and I'm glad the husband was so transparent and cooperative. The girl's weird response after being confronted pretty much confirms it was all fake, and honestly, Charlene needs to move on with her life instead of causing drama 6 years later. I, 32 male, have been sleeping with my girlfriend and for 2 weeks. I think we've been dating for 10 years and never realized it. So me and Sophie have been best friends since like the first grade. She was my next door neighbor growing up. We went to the same college and got jobs in the same city. And we've been roommates since we were like 25. So typing this, it almost seems like we've been a couple all along. But I've never really thought of her sexually since we were teenagers. She had a boyfriend at like 17, and they were really in love with each other, and I was good friends with him, but unfortunately he drowned like a week after we graduated high school. She was obviously a wreck, and I helped her as much as I could get through it, and in the process we pretty much became inseparable. It's not like one of us was clinging to the other. It was completely mutual. We liked the same things, have the same interests, and did stuff together all the time. When she was having a hard time sleeping because of Rick's drowning, she'd asked to come over because she didn't want to be alone. And I, of course, was there for her. Eventually, we graduated college and decided to get jobs in the same city. And eventually after that, we decided to move in together as roommates because we save a ton of money, and we were always hanging out together anyway. Now I realize that basically, I think we've been a couple, except we just didn't have sex. Of course, she would have a guy over sometimes, but it was never really serious. And same with me, I dated a bit but never really felt a connection with any of them. So about 2 weeks ago, we were watching wrestling, like we do every week. And she started softly crying, and we're sitting like inches from each other on the couch. So of course I put my arm around her and ask if she's okay and if she needs to talk. Basically, she's been having a hard time finding a guy, and she's really upset. She's always been kind of thick, but now she's pretty chubby, and says that attractive guys don't want to sleep with her anymore. So I'm trying to be supportive and stuff. And I wasn't lying. I've always thought she was really pretty, but I said that's not true, and that plenty of guys would love to sleep with her. She's not a prude or anything. And we always make crude jokes to each other, and I said something like, "If weren't like the best friends ever, I'd have been trying to sleep with you for the past 10 years. She gave me this look like I had just flipped a switch on Robot, like she was just staring right into my eyes and my brain is telling me to kiss her, and so I did. We were making out for probably 5 minutes, and she had pulled my shirt off and I had pulled hers off. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? So I stopped and I'm like, whoa, we need to think about this. Are we sure we want to go down this road? We talk for like 2 minutes and we basically decide, hey, we've been friends for 25 years and been through way worse together that having sex one time shouldn't be an issue. It was by far the best sex I ever had. And now since that time, we've had sex at least once every day. Sometimes 2 or 3 times. We both recognize we need to discuss this, but keep saying we'll discuss it tomorrow when we'll have more time. But I recognize we have to discuss it. Like soon. And I'm scared. I think I've realized that I've been madly in love with her this entire time. And that's why I never connected with any of the women I dated. And I'm really hoping it's the same for her. I think we might bother have felt this way for a long time, and we're finally realizing it. It just sounds so crazy. Like, what is going on? Am I crazy? Am I getting my hopes up? If she doesn't feel the same way I do, how can I ever hang out with her again? What do I do? Dude, this is literally the most wholesome thing I've ever read. And if she's been having sex with you multiple times a day for 2 weeks, she definitely feels the same way. Just tell her you love her already because you guys have basically been in a relationship for a decade without realizing it. Am I the asshole for wanting to break up with my boyfriend of 6 months? Okay, so, me 23 female, my boyfriend 32 male have been together about 6 months. We meet through a mutual friend and basically hit it off the moment we met. Great conversation, great chemistry. And he checked all my boxes for a partner. A little backstory, I met him about a year after leaving my relationship of 8 years. He had also just ended his marriage with the mother of one of his kids. He has 2. I never saw a partner having kids as a bad thing. I've always loved kids, and have always admired people who step up to raise kids that aren't their own. My stepdad, my step-grandpa, my aunt, and uncle. Non-blood related to me, but all played huge parts in my life, and have all raised kids that aren't theirs, and are amazing, loving step-parents. When we met, I was living with my grandparents at the time, because I had just moved across the country after I ended things with my partner of 8 years. I'm also a part-time student, and I work part-time. Between work, school, and studying, my plate is already full. When my boyfriend and I first got together, I'd cook and clean when I came over as a nice gesture because I can see his hands were full, working full-time, and being a father to 2 kids. He has full custody of the oldest and 50-50 of the youngest. He would constantly bring up how nice it was whenever I came over. He would mention that since it's such a long drive from where I was staying with my grandparents to his house, that I should just move in. I kind of laughed this off at first, because we had been dating for such a short amount of time. At the time, it was only 1 to 2 months. He ended up convincing me to move in, and at the time, it sounded like a good idea to me. He told me we would have more time to spend together, more time to go on hikes together. I should also mention that I'm a very active person. I go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week. Hiking, horseback riding, or any physical activity that I could possibly do in my free time. When we first started talking, my boyfriend made it sound like he was into all of those things too. Talking about how he was raised on a farm, how he just never had the time. And if I moved in, that me helping around the house and with the kids, it would free up more time for us to spend together. Fast forward, I moved in, what I against my grandparents' wishes. They think boyfriend is a good guy, but don't think that he's the guy for me. It's now been 6 months. I've been living here for about 4, and we haven't gone on a single hike, played a single sport, or done any physical activity, aside from walking to the grocery store together. I brought up multiple times how physical activity and an active lifestyle for things that I need for my mental and physical health. Whenever this is brought up, he constantly brings up who we have no time, and that the gas money alone it would take to get to these things makes it not worth it. Mind you, whenever he does have free time, he spends it on the couch watching anime for hours at a time, or on video games for a kid, not 6 to 8 hours at a time. All the while, I'm left with 2 kids to look after, a house to clean, and dinner to make. Now my boyfriend is a good guy, he's a patient father, and a kind boyfriend. But I feel like he is too stuck in his ways, or too comfortable with the life that he has now to consider my feelings and change. I feel like I have become some sort of replacement for his ex-wife, or live-in nanny. It should also be a good time to mention he likes to make jokes about how a woman's place is in the kitchen, how cooking and cleaning is for women, and he only helps when we are having food that needs to be cooked on his outdoor grill, as I'm not allowed to touch it because he thinks I'll break it. I was also under the impression when I moved in that he would be paying for all of the bills, the house bills and his bills. I pay for my own bills. Being as how I make minimum wage and work 20 hours a week, I can barely afford my own bills. But lately he's been asking for me to pay $500 for rent. Mind you, this is half of my monthly income. And if I did pay it, I wouldn't be able to afford my own bills. I do love this man, and I don't want to abandon him with all of his responsibilities and raising his 2 kids on his own. I never put much thought into being a mother, and always assumed that if it happened, I would be in a loving marriage with a man that has the same outlook on life as I do. Another thing to note, not only does he not live an active lifestyle, but he doesn't see it as important for his children to either. They sit inside all day on their phones and tablets, sometimes not moving from the couch or their bed for the entire day. It makes me sad, but since these are not my children, I have no authority to put them into sports or to take them to do any physical activity. I've noticed since moving in my mental health has significantly declined, and my physical health is going down the drain. I don't know how to go about this, how to tell him I'm not happy, how to tell him that I love him, but I am not in love with him any longer, or how to leave his 2 children that I have grown very fond of and love. I've already talked to my grandparents, and I'm welcome home anytime I please. Any advice on what I should do is more than welcome. I'm so sad and heartbroken that this wonderful, kind man isn't who I thought he was. Girl, you need to leave like yesterday because he basically tricked you into being a free nanny and maid, and he's not going to change. You're only 23, and you deserve to be with someone who actually shares your values and doesn't make sexist jokes while using you for childcare and housework. I, 30 male, was planning to propose to my girlfriend, 25 female, this week, but her father passed away over the weekend. I don't know how to help. So I have been with my girlfriend for about 3 years now. We started seriously talking about marriage in June, and I told her I would like to propose by year end. The more we talked to more, we wanted an October wedding, and decided on the 19th of next year. She said that she wanted at least a year to plan, so engagement would have to be by then. She has dropped hints over the last few months, not so subtly, about waiting for the ring so she could start planning. We had a trip to the mountains planned for this weekend, and I figured since the 19th is a Friday, and the day we planned to leave, that it'd be the optimal time to propose. So even though I knew she was getting a little impatient, I figured the timing would be perfect, and we could celebrate all weekend. On Friday night, we got some devastating news. Her father had a heart attack, and we rushed to the hospital. He was alive when we got there, but did not make it through the night. My girlfriend is heartbroken. No one saw this coming. I am also extremely upset, as him and I had gotten pretty close over the last few years. I also was very upset because I had asked him at the end of August for his blessing and explained to him my whole plan. He was so excited for this, and even mentioned it to me several times when we were at their house for supper last week. Saturday was kind of blur, and Sunday we started to help her mother and brother make funeral arrangements. She was grieving, but we were getting through it together until last night. Last night she flipped on me. She told me that I'm a monster for not proposing by now, and that her dad will never see her ring or hear the story. I think deep down she upset that he will not be there for the wedding. We all are. But I couldn't have foreseen this. Or I would have proposed months ago. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to show her the ring and tell her that I discussed it with him prior and that we have his blessing. I just feel like everything is messed up now, and I don't know what to do. Our mountains weekend is definitely off, obviously, and I was planning to wait to propose until things are stable again. But she is so upset with me, I don't even know how to approach it. She slept on the couch last night, and I just want to hug her and tell her there's nothing I want more than her to be my wife and her dad to still be here. But I can't. She doesn't want me close to her. What can I do? I think he absolutely needs to tell her right now that he asked her father for his blessing and was literally planning to propose this weekend because she's in so much pain thinking her dad never knew. Once she learns he knew about it and was excited, it might give her some comfort that her dad died happy knowing his daughter was going to marry someone he approved of. I, 41 male, went through my husband's things, and I need help. Okay, when I say his stuff, I don't mean that we cordoned off areas that the other partner isn't allowed to go through. It's more like a natural evolution that things like papers, notebooks, etc., just end up piling up in a specific area. The reason I don't go through them is just because there is nothing I need from them today was different. I needed his mini screwdriver set, and I knew it was in his office somewhere. I had texted him beforehand, and he couldn't remember exactly where he had put them, so he said just look around. So I eventually find them on his bookshelf, and as I'm picking them up, I set a piece of paper sticking out from one of the notebooks with my name in his handwriting. My first thought is, oh, this must be something he forgot to give me. Let me take it. What it was a list of different things I had said to him over the last few months. Things like, I love you, I love the way you smell, don't go, the bed is colder without you here. Things I just said off without thinking, he had written down and dated with estimated time. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to go through the notebook I had found this piece of paper sticking out of. Turns out the notebook was a sketchbook, and he had drawn images of me in various poses like drinking coffee on the couch while reading, sleeping, staring out the window, laughing. When I say images of me, I mean really romanticized images of me, because I don't even look that way on a good day. And believe me, I don't have many good days. The thing is, I've never seen him pick up a pencil. I didn't even know he could draw. I've never seen him draw, especially not anything of me. But there it was. In the sketch pad were also all these loose papers, ideas for books, games, theories on the afterlife, reflections about life, society, romance, freaking time/space relativity, drafts for short stories, fully composed songs with lyrics and music, a list of things that made me happy and things that made me sad, special notes about traumatic events I had experienced in my life so he wouldn't forget notes about things we did together. It was amazing and fascinating and enthralling, and most of all sad, because I didn't know any of this about him. Despite how long we've been together, I find it difficult to get him to open. Whenever I've tried to find out anything about him, he deflects it back to me. Try to find out what he wants to do. He wants to do what I want to do. I knew nothing about this part of his life, and not from lack of trying. It's like I found out my husband has been living a double life, and I'm seriously wishing it was with another person. Because this hurts. I don't know why it hurts, but it does badly. I've put all the notes and drawings back, tidied up, and I don't know what to do. I feel like if I ask him about it, he'll try drawing back deeper into his shell. Might even stop himself from doing any of this just in case I find it again. But I don't know if I can pretend that I don't know what I now know. This is actually heartbreaking because his husband clearly loves him so deeply and has this whole rich inner world, but feels like he needs to hide it. I think he needs to gently tell his husband what he found and let him know that he wants to know all of these beautiful parts of him, because keeping this secret will just create distance between them when they could be so much closer. 19M, annoyed with cheating 25F. So about 1 year ago exactly, I met this girl online through, let's say, a video game. She and I hit it off pretty decent. Just joking, Josh, friendly chatting. She makes a few moves on me, but I kind of brush them off. Eventually, one night, we get into dirty talking, full-on 50 Shades kind of stuff. And eventually, in a few weeks, we get on Skype and do the nasty. Naturally, over time, we get in a relationship, and she tells me she loves me. So, I'm excited, horny, and totally ready to be in this relationship with a 25-year-old that looks smoking hot. Or so I thought. After a few months, I'm about to start a new job. She messages me randomly. Lo and behold. After all these years of laughing at people for being fooled on the internet for being catfished, I have been catfished. She calls me bawling, telling me, I just wanted something good for once, and you were it. At this point, I was emotionally into this girl. So, looks and no looks. I didn't give a crap. I told her I loved her, and she turned out to not be hideous and ugly, so it didn't bother me. She was bigger, but she told me when we first started dating, she was going through chemo, so she gained weight. Months pass, and I kind of get over it. But what bothers me is the lying. A lot of the times we talked sexual. I'm a virgin with no real experience. Granted, I've been offered a lot of sexual favors consistently, but I decline it. Not trying to type up an ego act like I'm the hot thing, but it happens I'm young, not exactly ugly. So drunk girls kind of throw themselves at me, which I kind of find disgusting. Anyways, back to the point, I find out a lot of things about her. At one point, she dated another guy online. He was Swedish. The difference was she flew him out twice, bought him shit, supported him financially, treated him like a king. Oddly enough, she even had a threesome with her ex of 5 years together. She had his miscarriage, was about to get married till he got in an accident. She told me she was over both these guys. But let's say for story's sake, the Swedish guy is XA, and the other 5-year guy is XB. So slowly she starts telling me things she used to decline. I would ask, have you ever had a threesome with 2 guys? No, never. Slowly she says, well, once with XB and another guy. But I only let XB actually put it in me. I only gave head to the other guy. Being the jealous virgin, this lie really annoyed me. Because not only a few months ago did she catfish me, but now she's lying about things like this. So I got more annoyed. Come to find out later, she admits to me she used to be called Head Monster in high school. Her number of guys she's given head to be exact is 22. Again, I'm emotionally into her, so I don't really care. She's with me now. And that's what matters, right? Or so the annoying voice in my head disagrees with. Look, I'm not going to deny the fact that I'm jealous that she does all that kind of stuff for other guys, and me being in a relationship for over 1 year now, haven't even seen her naked pisses me off. This part will be specifically dedicated to the chemo, which I barely touched on. She has had cancer before, and I have sat through painful nights listening to her bawl, cry. At one point, the doctor said her chances of survival are slim, but she is doing better. And she did just finish chemo. Am I making the same mistake I made at the start and just blindly trusting her? I used to tell all my friends, cam verify, before doing anything. But I think I made the mistake of getting emotionally invested and letting myself get lost. Another major detail I'd like to add is Facebook. Oh, how many arguments we've had over it. She talks about Facebook all the time, tells me this and that. But she refuses for some reason to add me. She refuses to add me on Facebook. She doesn't want me to see embarrassing photos? I've shown you my full nude body on cam. You've added your exes. You've gotten naked and blown guys in bathrooms. You must be drunk at a party. Yet me, a guy you've dated for over a year, and you claim to love. You say you're not going to add on Facebook because of photos, or the fact you don't want to explain me to your friends and family. She once got naked in this website for a bunch of people on that video game we both played and had lesbian foreplay. All of this, and something else to add, not ranting, I just want the full details so you guys can understand my perspective. She also wants us to force our kids into church, if we ever have any. I know I'm 19, but that hypocrisy annoys me. She can blow 22 guys, have same-sex intercourse, threesomes with 2 guys who she's not married to, but then force her kids into church? In my opinion, if religion is your faith after you do your own research, good for you. Long story short, she's been busy the past week. I haven't heard from her. I have male urges, and I'm not going to cheat on her. But emotionally and sexually, I'm lonely now, and her ignoring me, while she tells me of how she treats her exes like kings, has made me jealous and resentful. We have been together for over 1 year. She tells me she loves me more than she loved XB. But she won't even show me herself naked once, but has told me one time at party she got drunk and blew 2 guys off at once with another girl in a bathroom when she was 17. The jealousy, anger, and resentment due to the time I haven't gotten to talk to her is making my blood boil, to the point where I have called out sick of work tomorrow because I know I'll be an angry mess. Reddit, what do I do? He's young and clearly caught between lust, loneliness, and wanting to be the good guy, but he's ignoring every red flag waving in his face. She's manipulative, dishonest, and keeping him hooked through guilt. He needs to walk away and learn from this before it damages his self-worth any further. Anyways, here's the next story. Stick me with your work? Enjoy getting stuck unemployed. This is a long story, but I've marked off the revenge and pro-revenge bits, with appropriate headings to facilitate skimming. Background: around 8 years ago, I applied for a job working for a relatively small organization as a manager. Instead of the position I applied for, they offered me a different job reporting to the person they hired for the management position. Still a step up in my career, but not quite as good. I accepted the job, and soon after was invited out to dinner to meet my new manager. Let's call her Sarah. I immediately became skeptical of Sarah. She presented as a devout Christian woman while throwing shade at her previous co-workers and jobs, all of which raised alarms on my mind. I resigned myself to being polite but distant from her, rather than running away as fast as I could, because I figured I might have the wrong idea about her. Yeah, not so much. As soon as we started working together, she started pawning off much of her work to me. She hated making phone calls, which she was required to make, so I got stuck with those. She wouldn't return messages from clients, so I ended up doing that too. The organization was small and had a serious resource shortage, something which was made worse by some recent system changes that were made right around the time we arrived. Her shirking was positioned as delegation, since she'd dealing with fixing those systems issues. The higher-ups saw it as a temporary issue and implored me to be cooperative. Soon, I was working 60 hours a week, trying to keep up with the workload. I got paid overtime, but no amount of money can make up for constantly being thrown under the bus by your incompetent boss, because I couldn't handle the workload I was being asked to manage. Nobody could. When she would actually get called on the carpet for mistakes and issues, she would yell and scream at me while simultaneously blaming me for the problems she caused. Meanwhile, she was having long conversations with anyone who wandered past her doorway, leaving at 4 every day, with no overtime, and smiling that self-righteous smile of the oblivious sociopath. I think she truly thought she was a great and successful manager. I will point out that the people in upper management clearly noticed that something was up with the work in our department. A year had passed and things weren't getting better. They were actually worse on my end, since now I was so demoralized that I'd cried a couple of times at work. Thus, they didn't pay much attention when I pointed out that our workloads were inequitable and that I was basically working both of our jobs, mine and Sarah's, without the appropriate tools, since Sarah hadn't actually fixed the system issues she had been hired to manage. Other people in the organization didn't really understand the system issues because they never had to use the system. Revenge. I finally decided that I was finished dealing with Sarah and needed to demonstrate the dysfunction to the higher-ups. I waited for Sarah to take a week of vacation and then promptly called in sick for 2 days once she was gone, leaving the higher-ups to try and handle client issues for those 2 days. I didn't answer any calls from the office during working hours, despite having some frantic, "How the hell do I do what the client is asking me to do?" messages. Instead, I waited until after hours, claimed to have been sleeping due to medication, and then left long messages detailing the convoluted processes of how the system worked, or didn't. I took the time to work on my resume and write up my resignation letter, including an offer to stay for up to 2 months to facilitate a transition. I didn't bear the lower-tiered work doll will, and the money would be helpful if I could have a set date in mind, so I felt okay with a longer notice period. I arrived back at work after my illness and had 3 of the higher-ups walk straight into my office, shut the door, and sit down. "What the fuck is going on here?" was the first thing that came tumbling out of the general manager's mouth. So I spent a good 10 minutes detailing the system issues, reminding them that I had consistently mentioned being overworked and not having the tools to do my job. Apparently Sarah, unbeknownst to me, had been bad-mouthing me to all of them, calling me incompetent and slow. Once they told me that, I said I found that surprising, since she had spent all of that time bad-mouthing the system to me and calling the management incompetent. One of the other managers told me that they were attributing the problems to me and my emotional state, and now realized after just 2 days of trying to do my job just how awful things really were. They apologized to me for doubting my claims and vowed to make changes. I thanked them and handed them my resignation notice, telling them that I had decided to go back to school to pursue a new career and couldn't do that while working for or with Sarah. Over the next 2 months before I finally left, Sarah basically became a woman defeated. I fed them every nasty word she said for 2 months, including showing them some text messages I received in which she bad-mouthed the organization. The GM told me they couldn't fire her because anyone new would be even worse with the system, but that they were taking steps to cross-train others on the system in order to be able to get rid of her. They monitored her office and interrupted long conversations. They removed me from her control, allowing me to return her delegated work and insist she do it herself. We had long meetings about systems issues during which she was left looking like a bumbling incompetent. After I finally left, they had a little party for me. They called her into the GM office and read her the riot act for basically chasing me out the door and costing the organization a strong employee. Their words, not mine. Sarah contacted me after being told off and expressed how sad she was that I would say such things. I denied using the words they claimed I used, saying only that I talked about the circumstances and not the people. I lied purposefully in the faint hope that it would be useful to me in the future. I had no great love for the management of the organization, despite their recent attempts to make amends, and it cost me little to play both sides. Her reputation was so bad at that point that nobody would believe her if she said I stuck up for her. It wound up being a good instinct. They fired her 3 months later and told her not to use them as a reference. She has basically been stuck in a series of temporary and low-paying jobs ever since she left. We are still social media friends, and I have seen her messages about looking for help from God and tough financial times. As much as I want to feel bad for her, I can't muster up even a little bit of concern for her. Instead, I enjoyed a little private laugh at every bad thing that seemed to happen to her. Call me a jerk, but I view her as someone who tried to destroy my career to save herself some work. Cold-blooded pro-revenge. So it has been nearly 8 years, as I said, and I have finally had a chance to truly extract my pound of flesh from her. Last week she sent me a long email talking about our working together and how she's happy to see as things have gone well for me and how she looks back fondly on our work together. She said she knows that we didn't work together ideally, but that she had few options and wanted to ask me for a professional reference. I jumped at the chance and reassured her that I held her no ill will. Here is my contact info. Just have them get in touch. Anything you want me to emphasize when we talk? I got all the details and told her I would let her know when I got the call. I finally got the call this past Thursday. I proceeded to damn her with as faint praise as I could possibly muster. I really put on the Hollywood touches. Weird vocal inflections, thoughtful pauses before tepid endorsements, seemingly careful and precise word selection. They must have heard from others about her penchant for talkativeness, because they asked me point blank about that too. I went super cagey in my response. I mean, she certainly is friendly enough, but I can't recall any personal experience with her being distracted from her work by talking too much. Of course, I spent so much time in my office that perhaps I just didn't see it. Got the word this morning thanking me for the reference and saying they hired someone else for the job. I expressed my condolences and told her to feel free to let me know if she needs another reference. She told me she would definitely be in touch. That's pure satisfaction right there. The way they exposed Sarah's incompetence while keeping their own hands clear and then subtly crushed her future opportunities was calculated, clever, and deeply deserved. All right, here's the next story. I, 32F, want to break up with my boyfriend, 54M, for a younger guy. For the sake of protecting both our identities, I'll refer to my boyfriend as John, not his real name. John and I met at work. He was my office manager for several years. About 3 years ago, I went through a really rough breakup with my ex, and my mental state was very poor. John could see how upset I was at work, even though I did my best to leave it at home. I didn't really want to be the latest office gossip, so when he started offering his office for me to work in private, I was super grateful. Sometimes he would also be there, but he was often needed elsewhere, so I wasn't too concerned about the other type of gossip forming. Over time, John and I grew a close bond, and after a few months, we started going out for drinks and food. I guess you could say we began dating. The age thing was always in the back of my mind, but those first few months were really good, so I didn't think too much of it. He was kind, funny, caring, and just seemed like a really great guy. After several months of dating, John made the decision to transfer offices to avoid any conflict of interest or potential problems with the company. Not long after, we moved in together. That's when the problems started to reveal themselves. At first, it was small, stupid things like he'd insist I stop watching my favorite TV shows because they were childish and stupid. I would laugh and say he didn't get it because he's old, and we'd make a joke of it. The thing is, though, he wasn't joking. This became a constant thing. and it began to weigh on me until I decided to just stop watching. Next up was my clothing choices. He accused me of dressing like I was in my 20s, like I was wanting to attract a young guy. So I started dressing older and more appropriately. He started making me feel bad about my friends, accusing them of being childish and boring. He would go out of his way to ask them questions about philosophy and politics, and then berate them for not knowing the answers. My friends confessed they didn't like being around him because he made them feel belittled, which is exactly how he often makes me feel. I hardly see them anymore, but I don't blame them for wanting to distance themselves. I used to have a lot of independence in my life, hobbies, friends, and fun. Now it seems all I ever really do is what John wants to do, most of which are things I find absolutely mind-numbingly dull. Whenever I push back and try to do what I want, he'll shut me down, making me feel tiny and stupid for suggesting it, often using his age as a way to say, I know better than you. And that's been my life for the past couple of years, up until recently. Enter Mark. Again, not his real name. The new guy at work who's incredibly fun to be around. He has amazing energy, charisma, and bundles of charm. He and I get on like a house on fire. We share a lot of the same hobbies. He's only a couple of years older than me, and he makes me laugh in ways I haven't laughed since I was a kid. The kind of goofy, uncontrollable laughter that makes your sides hurt. I find myself thinking about Mark a lot. I look forward to going to work to hang out with him. I get butterflies in my belly when I'm around him, and I feel a genuine warmth when I'm with him. To be clear, nothing romantic has happened between Mark and me, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't want it to. John was there for me when I really needed someone. Maybe I'm the problem for not strongly advocating for myself. I've always been a people pleaser. I can't even tell what's real anymore. If I'm being selfish or childish or getting swept up in the fantasy of it all, I could really use some advice here. She's not wrong for wanting out. Her boyfriend's behavior is controlling and condescending, and the relationship sounds more like a cage than a partnership. Still, she should end things cleanly before pursuing anyone new, because trading one emotional escape for another will just repeat the same unhealthy cycle. A girl complimented me today and I almost cried. I, 23 male, was in a tough spot before the end of last year. It was not like something disastrous happened. I had a job that is stable and extremely well-paying compared to my peers around the same age. I was in depression, had severe social anxiety, and lost my will to do anything at all. Almost lost my job because of that. I decided to help myself at the end of January. I first started by doing small changes to my routine, like waking up early, finishing basic work early morning, not eating junk, skincare routine, and then started hitting the gym. It has been 3 months now, and I also started seeing a therapist this month. There was a girl I frequently saw when I went to the gym. I go there early in the morning, as my job is work from home, so there were not many people when we were there. Considering it's a relatively small gym, she's a very good-looking and fit person, and I could not take my eyes off of her. I felt like a creep after a few times and just stopped looking, to be honest. Today, I was at the gym early again, and there she was. I started doing warm-ups, and she approached me. She said she sees me frequently here and surprised how diligently I come to the gym. She also said, "Your body looks great, thanks to newbie gains, now compared to 3 months ago." I was extremely surprised and almost teared up. I thanked her, and we had some small chat about gym routines, diet, and so on. She asked for my Instagram, and I gave it to her. She said, "Have a good workout," and left. I sobbed after returning back to home. I did not know getting a small compliment on my effort would make me feel like that. I do not have any ulterior ideas. I am pretty sure she is just being nice to me. I wanted to post it here to get it out of my chest and maybe give hope to those who are like me 3 months ago. Update. 23 days later. I think I did it. Next day we had lunch together and was set for a dinner following day. I was afraid I would mess it up due to my random social awkwardness. But thankfully nothing happened. I just imagined myself talking to a friend instead of a girl. We've been talking nonstop, going to gym together, and having dates. Yesterday we had a quick talk about exclusivity, and I told her I am dating one person at once. She said it also applies to her, and we became exclusive, I think. Never have I thought I would date such a pretty girl. I still think she is out of my league, but I will make sure that this feeling does not hinder the relationship. Thank you for your advice and comments in the original post. Honestly, this story hits different because it shows how much a simple compliment can change someone's life. I'm really happy for him that he took the chance and didn't let his anxiety hold him back from finding happiness. Am I the asshole for refusing to delete my son's Roblox account, even though my husband wants me to? Hi Reddit. I, 38 female, need some perspective because my husband, 40 male, thinks I'm in the wrong here. My son, 10 male, plays Roblox for about an hour each night before bed. His day is packed. School, homework, sports, and some leisure time. The Roblox session is the one time he really gets to unwind, and he keeps it very controlled. He doesn't play for hours, doesn't skip homework or sports, and knows he has limits. I work from home, so I'm around him throughout the day. I know exactly what he's doing. I monitor his schedule, and I make sure he balances school, sports, study, and playtime. When he plays Roblox, I sit next to him and watch my TV show, so I can supervise him while enjoying some downtime. The conflict comes from my husband. He is extremely concerned about predator activity on Roblox, the situation and all, and that some countries have banned Roblox and ongoing lawsuits, and thinks our son should not be allowed to play at all. He argues that even with parental controls, the risks are too high. I refuse to delete the account because parental controls are enabled. I've restricted chat, friend requests, and purchases, making his account very safe. He's responsible with his time. It's only 1 hour, and it doesn't interfere with his school or activities supervised play. I sit right next to him while he plays and monitor everything. It's a way for him to relax. After a busy day, this is his only downtime. Every time I bring this up, my husband insists that any exposure to Roblox is too risky, even under parental supervision. I feel like I'm being reasonable, and deleting the account would punish him unnecessarily. So, am I the jerk for refusing to delete his Roblox account, even though my husband thinks I am? Consensus. Not the jerk. Commenters say it's the most responsible way to teach their child about being online, and he's got to learn it somehow. Update 2 days later. Hi Reddit, OP here again from the Roblox /Am I the Jerk post. So, my husband actually read through a bunch of your comments. At first he was stubborn, but after seeing how many people said supervision plus limits are the key, he agreed we should at least try a middle ground instead of deleting everything. We decided to talk to our son about online dangers, like don't give out info, don't trust strangers, tell us if something weird happens. He nodded very seriously. Many comments suggested my son sit with him and understand the world, and honestly, my husband did try that. My son went. See, Dad, you grow a garden, seeds like ember lily and prismatic ones earn you the most profit. Then instill a brain trot, tralelo tralala. And something else he told us. My husband just sat there confused. None of those words made sense to us. He was so confident, though, explaining it like he was a professor giving a lecture. My husband didn't want to kill the moment, so my husband just went, "Ah, okay, I get it now." Spoiler, he did not get it at all. Now my husband actually sits with him during Roblox time. Our son is thrilled to narrate everything. Look, Dad, I just stole his brain trot. Meanwhile, my husband looks like he's watching an alien language stream. In real time, I sit there with my show and just laugh quietly. So no, we still don't understand Roblox. We're just two clueless millennial parents trying to decode brain rots while our kid lives his best life. But at least now, we're approaching it together, instead of arguing. Thanks, Reddit, for pushing us in the right direction. This is such a wholesome resolution to what could have been a huge argument between parents. I love how they turned it into a bonding experience, even though they have no idea what's happening in the game.